It's a surprise. You can tell me what to know, pal. See for yourself, Duck. Great Adventure, yahoo! Since Great Adventure opened Looney Tunes Land, the fun just got funnier. Funnier rides. Funnier shows. Funnier friends. Six Flags Great Adventure. Now we have bugs.
BBL. I figured that commercial would be perfect for maybe one of our guests that worked in this that's joining us tonight.
Hey, what's going on?
Hello and welcome to episode number 12 of Some Great Adventures, the podcast where all friends who met and worked together at Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson, New Jersey, chat about our time at the park. I am Steve Hicks, and as always, my co-hosts are
Scott Loudon
and
I'm Andy Auletti.
all right, and we're missing somebody. Scott, check the call-in sheet. Did Peluso call in?
I don't think so.
Andy, pull out that control card. No show. Peluso is a no-show.
No show, no call.
No show, no call. That's it. All right. Fuck Peluso. Moving on. Our podcast continues to be made possible by our friends at the Shared Universe Podcast Studio. Look them up for all your podcasting needs. We're recording via Facebook Live, and the video will be available on our Facebook page forever, and the audio version will be on all podcasting platforms in a few days. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm actually not very surprised that Peluso is a no-show because I think most of the guys here understand that's probably like a fucking East Side thing. You know, I mean, let's just be honest. It's true. Think about it. It's like anarchy once you hit that side of the fountain. Human sacrifices, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. I tell you, that's what it is, right?
What's going on here? You got a bunch of Western freaking lackeys here.
West
I don't know, Steve.
Side.
I gotta tell you, I've
West
gotten
Side.
that phone call at like 7 a.m. Like, where are you?
That's it.
Yeah,
I'm out of here. I'm done with these Western crap.
Like an hour before the park opens, we're still sleeping.
I'm not gonna lie. There was one season opening where I did work crew with most of, I think, you guys until like 3 a.m, and I was scheduled for a day shift, and I didn't make it. Billy actually called my house and told my mom, "Tell him he can just sleep in. He doesn't need to come in." So, all right. Well, boys, we have a couple guests here. Returning fresh from episode number 6 is our buddy Tony Rosa. How you doing, Tony?
Hey guys,
What's up, Tony?
what's up, Ian?
And it's also our pleasure to introduce our pal Manish Patel. Manish, how the hell are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
You doing good? Doing good. It's a Sunday.
I'm
man.
actually a little shocked,
Yeah.
Steve, that you called me Manish Patel as opposed to Mush.
Well, I mean, we have an hour and a half. It'll
We have
change. Trust me. All right, Mush. So
We can bring it back.
it's already back. You open the door and it's back, motherfucker. All right. So what we like to do is have any of our new guests tell us about their GA career. Where and when did you start? What positions? What departments did you work in? And basically, when and why did you leave? So Manish, I will pass it off to you. Tell us about yourself.
So I started in '94. I was 16 years old, and looking for my first job. And my older brother and older sister worked at the park. So my brother was in security a couple years back, and my sister was actually still in games at that point. So I started there, and then didn't really want to do any of those. So I ended up going to rides. And when I was there, I was kind of suckered into going into BBL. You know, it's like you're
How'd that happen?
16-year-old. Well, you're
Elaborate.
like a little 16-year-old, little kid, and cute girl says to you, "Well, that's our eyelashes. We really need people at BBL," and then you're just like, "Yeah, whatever you want.
You're on mute.
Yeah, you're hot."
Going over the mic.
But
Scott
Yeah.
wanted to know, how did you get talked into BBL? I don't know if you heard him.
No, yeah. They're here.
no, I did, yeah. No,
Oh, okay.
and then so she was like, "Yeah." So she's like, "Yeah, we really need people at BBL."
My mic on. 'Cause
And then and so I ended up like, "Yeah, sure, I'll go to BBL. That works. That's fine."
Wait, that was
so-
it? Like you didn't give any thought to what BBL might be or ask?
I hadn't been to Great Adventure in years, and I never went to BBL because when by the time BBL was there, I was already out of being a kid.
Right.
I didn't
right.
even like, it wasn't like a thought about like going, like, it was like, okay, yeah, sure.
I'm
Rides,
pretty
cool.
sure that person you're mentioning whose sole purpose in life was to divert people like you to BBL.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
the young and the stupid, right? So
That's why she was employed there.
so I went to BBL. I endured torture there for I guess a few months, and then I ended up going from there to El Sombrero. And that was so that was 94.
Yeah, so hold on. I'm gonna halt you for a second, and I'm gonna tell everyone how I first met Manish. Okay, so I'm walking. I'm a 120 ride supervisor with Andy, and I'm walking toward the coaster, and this little kid comes out of BBL, and he's like, it was straight out of a fucking Dickens story. He's like, please, sir, can I talk to you? And I was like, yeah, what's up? He's like, I heard you're a supervisor in this section, and that ride right there with the big hat, I'm in BBL. Please, could you put me on the hats? I want to work the hats. And I was like, who are you? And he's like, my name is Manish, but they call me Mush. I just want to work the hats. And I was like, what the fuck, man? Because nobody ever came out of BBL was like, I don't want to work the coat. Everyone that ever wanted to transfer is always like, can I be a mine train, lead, or can I be a log flume employee? But Manish was smart. He came out and was like, I just want to work the hat. And I was like, yeah, we can make that happen. I was like, nobody wants to work the fucking hat.
Something realistic, right? Something realistic to get me out of there.
Smart. It was smart because literally, I kid you not, no one ever came in and said, I want to work the fucking hat. No one.
Like, oh yeah, can I go from working a ride where kids pee all over the boats all the time to Batman, right? That's not gonna happen. So I was smart. I played it a little bit smart there. And Eric was walking with you guys, Eric Conover, and that's why that was so yeah. But I remember that. And and now it was actually funny though, because at the time I think it was Mike Carberley was working BBL, was working El Sombrero, and so I was friends with him, and he had said oh yeah, you should try to work here, because he needed somebody to work there so he could try to transfer to Coaster. So it was like he had ulterior motives of trying to get me to El Sombrero also. But yeah, so that was how I ended up at El Sombrero. But I mean, it was an improvement over BBL, so I'm not gonna
humble beginnings.
Yeah,
I remember hearing about him. I remember Manish was like a aroma on the wind. Like you heard his name and everything.
Yeah, I will say, Manish, you're funny.
Talking about.
You are an original person because you were considered a character. People knew of you, and then when they met you, they had already had an impression because so many people talked about you. So you definitely were like a character. You were like your own Bugs Bunny in the park, Yeah,
it was a fun. Sorry about the moving, but it was. I did have my own thing. It was a fun place to work though, and there was I don't know, there's a lot of really, really fun people there that we were able to hang out with. So, but yeah, so I went to BBL, and then that was kind of it for the rest of that year. And then in 95 and 96, I stayed in Frontier Adventures. I went to log flume mostly in cables, right? And then 97, I went to grounds for the money, because at the time, yeah, right. At the time, I was only making $620 in rides for nights, and I really needed that extra $1 and change to put me up over $7.25 in ground. So
you got a taste of that. Where?
Show me that bathroom money.
That bathroom money.
It's like all that
handing out
money
mints
was
and paper towels to people in there.
Yeah. It was all that Porter money coming in. I was making rain back then, so. But it was good. It kept me in, gasoline and cigarettes. So it's kind of what every high schooler needs, right? So.
All right, Manish, hold on. We're gonna take a step back. There is a rumor. I'm gonna ask you about this, okay? Manish, we heard a rumor that the Western Cables crew would steal supersized cans of chocolate pudding from Foods and hide it in the storage closet balcony over near the catching area. Is that true?
So I'm not going to say that's. So it didn't. I don't think it happened in my years. But if you look over the edge, there were definitely a lot of empty cans down there.
I don't believe you, and the reason for that is because the rumor further goes that you were dared to eat an entire can of the pudding, and you did. and no one could bathroom break you, so you pooped over the side of the balcony into the pit. That is a rumor. Confess.
So,
is that a true rumor,
I'm not
Manish?
going to confirm or deny anything like
I
that.
mean, it didn't have to change colors, so it came
That
right
is
out
true.
quick.
That is
just
true.
flowed
There's no
right
way to
through.
prove it. That is true. He
It
covered
just
his
flowed.
tracks. You are
Yeah.
right.
From the roof
But
to the tutor.
yeah, I mean, everyone does stupid things when they're a kid, right? So,
All right, moving on.
yeah. But yeah, it might have happened. I'm not gonna lie. It might have.
Did you ever work cables? I mean, you had that like
Yeah, I was there for-
ankle injury.
He was like Cables.
Yeah, I was there for like a whole season.
Yeah.
Cables was a great ride. Such a fun ride to work. I mean, you definitely end up going through a lot of pairs of shoes, which is unfortunate. But yeah, like it was
fun, man.
What are you talking about? Payroll detection, baby. You just go in, you get another pair. What? What?
Wait, you could get that? I was paying for my own shoes. Oh man,
Rockports, baby. Come on. What's wrong with you?
Cables, remember Cables, you were allowed to wear black sneakers.
That's right.
yeah,
And boots. And boots. We didn't
Yeah.
complain about boots either.
yeah. Cable, that's got to be one of the funnest rides to work. Just, I mean, you just
So you actually had to work that ride, like you were.
yeah, but you actually got to work out though too, right? I mean, it's I don't know. I guess they were all fun rides to work though when you think about it.
I can't believe Tony's not piping up. I feel like you guys are shitting on Cables, and that's like Tony's ride. Like-
Yeah, I mean, it definitely
That's where
has
I
a
met
special
Tony.
place in my heart, Cables. No, I was just letting Manish, introduce himself and everything. But that's actually where I first met Manish. Is he came up for training on Cables. He was like, I think 16. Like
No,
you must have just got him out of BBL and put him in for training or something, and he was like all excited.
Wait,
To
did
be
he come
there.
up and go, "Excuse me, sir, may I please catch those cars over there?" That's all I want to do is catch those cars.
Yeah. He was like, yeah, I work over there at the El Sombrero, and it was him and Cumberly that came up for training.
Yeah,
I think
right.
El Sombrero was down or something. And I'm like, oh, geez. Sorry to hear that. Because nobody wanted to work that ride.
That is
Nobody
true.
wanted to work that
Yeah.
ride. But
Except me.
BBL was worse. For sure.
If I
Yeah.
remember, the reason that ride went down most of the time was that the hat was coming loose.
Yep.
The fiberglass always had to go
Yeah.
back and reattach the hat before it fell off during the ride.
Do you remember, Andy? Do you remember ever when we had to do the ride checks in the morning? Do you remember doing it after a rain and it would be filled
Yeah.
with the fucking? It would be
Oh,
like
yeah.
a typhoon
Yeah,
of water
big
pouring
waves.
out.
Yeah.
That was fun. I loved it. I was like,
you'd have to
'cause-
run it a few times
yeah, I
to
mean,
get all the
we were
water
in the
out.
booth, so we just watched it hit the booth window,
Yeah.
And you have to warn the attendant though to duck down because the attendant
No.
booth didn't have like the ladder. It's kind of just open, so the attendant would just stand there and get drenched.
I wouldn't
I
want to
remember
attend it.
Manish was like, that's why I always got hit with the water.
Pretty much.
Yeah, but that wasn't a bad ride to work. It wasn't that hard. You had a
Hat was easy.
booth. They had
Yeah,
air
for one
conditioning in that
person.
little closet in the back.
Yeah. The hat was like working the freaking music.
You were like right
Express.
on the lake. It was nice.
Yeah,
It was like working
Yeah.
every ride in 140.
exactly. I mean, it was
Yeah,
damn
well-
Music Express. It was the same damn thing,
But you were kinda
there's
by
only another
yourself.
person.
Yeah.
If you're there with somebody you don't like, you're screwed.
Yeah, but that's like any flat ride. And the good thing is, though, if you're there with someone you don't like, who really gives a crap? I mean, outside of like checking, you're not really dealing
like
with them
on
anyway. They're on the
opposite
other
ends,
side. Yeah, they're on the other side the
You're
whole day. You can just sit there flipping the bird all day. So, so how did you? What else did you do? Anything else? Like once you got in the grounds, where else did you go? Like how did you end up leaving the park?
So I was in grounds, and I end up getting terminated from John Wilson. So that wasn't as.
Oh, wait. So you have no rehire status?
I mean, I don't know. It's been 30
Wait.
years.
What were you terminated? There is a question. What were you terminated for?
I was.
You don't have to go into details, but was it safety or was it like you
Yeah.
Peluso no showed?
He got an appendage stuck in. I heard a rumor that Manish got caught. Like that.
Hold on,
scene
I wanna
from
hear-
Monkeys.
I want to hear this rumor, Scott. What is this rumor? No.
Chicky.
So I was just goofing off at the Garden of Eden,
Right.
and then I ended up getting like bad right. I was goofing off at the Garden of Eden, and then he ended up fire me or write me up for like poor work performance and stuff. And then the next day when I, signed up or when I signed out, he's
Right.
like, well, you put that on your timesheet. And so you fired me for theft of time. I'm like, okay,
Oh.
but you can't really have it both ways. Can you, Mr. Wilson, you written me up for poor work performance, but then you're terminating me like half a minute later. So,
Well, what sucks is the reason he did that is because, and I'm just going to guess here, because if you got actually fired for the poor work performance, you could get rehired years later. They don't really give two shits if they look back on it. But if you get fired for theft or for a safety violation, you got no rehire status, motherfucker. You done. You done. Son.
I mean, I know
you've been contemplating going back.
I'm kind of okay with it though, right? I mean, I'm kind of past that. I love that.
First person we've had on the show that was terminated. No, Kenny.
Kenny was.
Well, he said he didn't remember being fired, but I could swear he got fired. He was his mission in life to be fired. Anyway.
True.
If you get fired for theft, you're not even allowed to come back as a guest.
That's
you
true.
Get banned from property.
Yeah.
Oh, is that true?
I mean,
although I don't think they've been checking his ID because I'm pretty sure he has kids and he's been back. So.
I mean, if they want to stop me from buying season passes and giving them my money, that's fine.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
That's a lot of money I'll save too. But yeah, no. And I mean,
Manish getting perp walked out of the park.
Oh my god! Oh my god! When that happens, please make sure you video and send that to us, please.
I definitely will. We'll put that right on the podcast. But that'll be funny, right? So like my kids will be sitting there, like we'll be in line, and they'll be like, "Yeah, security, so we need you over here at the Touch Twister. We need to escort you out of the park." No.
Step out of the line, sir.
Yeah.
It's that Bugs Bunny Land El Sombrero guy back again.
Oh, by the way, we can't see the chat. Can you guys see the chat? Andy,
No.
Tony?
No.
I can't.
How about you, Andy? When you click on it?
All
right. Well, that's weird. All right. I'll have to try to figure that out for the next time because we should be able to. But yeah, I haven't been able to for the last two, so that sucks.
So
but,
anybody chatting in?
Anybody chatting? Yeah, we apologize, but we actually can't see it, so which is weird. But we'll try to get that figured out for the next one. All right. So, but we could, just so you all know, we could see it afterwards because I'll go on my Facebook page and then see all the comments there. We just can't see it live right now. So anyway, sorry about that, Manish. Go ahead.
No, I think that's it. Yeah. It was
so
just
that's it. You just got fired and that's it.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean,
make a whole show out of fucking with Manish.
I'm not gonna fuck with him. However, Manish, I heard a rumor.
See, now this is the whole part of the aura and the mystique, right? It's like the rumors that there is.
There's a lot of rumors going around, and so this one I found very interesting. Okay, I heard a rumor that when you were still in Western Rides, you were helping to open the log flume, and you walked the catwalk up at the top. You did the morning safety check. However, you ran into a baboon chilling in the seat at Spillway. Now, that's not the rumor, though. The rumor is later in the day, you were written up for inappropriate relations with an animal, aka bestiality. Is that true, Manish? Is that true?
So that part of it's not true. The end part of it's not true. No, I've never. I can honestly say that part.
Simeon knows.
Yeah, can honestly say that that's not true. But yeah, I mean, I've heard rumors before that the baboons did get out and into.
They're there.
I've seen
them. I've seen them. I actually saw them when I walked like many times. So did Brian Kaufman. Yeah, both of us.
I have been walking up.
Never got caught for bestiality.
I did not get caught.
I have been walking up there, and my foot like almost go through one of the boards, and almost fall the 60 feet to my death.
So, what's hysterical about that is that me and Andy used to laugh about how when we would do season opening and we'd have to do our first check, every other board would have a red X on it, and we still had to do the check.
Yeah,
it was like Squid Games up there. Yeah. It was like just don't step on the X board.
Yeah.
But what's ironic is that last summer is the first summer I went back to the park in years and paid any fucking attention to it either. You know what I mean? Like I think I went twice since I left. And then I went back like a couple times, with Scott twice, and went on a log flume and paid attention, was actually looking at what they changed, it's all metal catwalk now. There's
Yeah.
no more wood. It's all metal. And I'm like, oh, yeah, after we're gone, they give a fuck about safety.
Yeah, right?
Like, hey, while we were there, we could fall through. But now it's metal, you know?
And they actually have,
In
like,
our
you know,
day, you had to be men. You had to walk
Yeah.
around those wooden broken boards and take it, okay?
like we risked our lives every day going up there, like, you know, for this. But no, and actually nowadays they actually have like better shelters at least at Shoot. And I think
Yeah.
there was like a better shelter at Spillway too, as opposed to, like, you know, sitting out there with like a tiny umbrella to try to keep the sun off of you.
Well, it's also,
you know,
if you think about it, it's also one of the rare rides that regular rain ain't going to shut it down. If anything's going to make it stay open. So it sucks ass when you're the person up top in a rainstorm because you're not going anywhere and you're miserable and you're wet and you're soaking. So, yeah, they definitely had to upgrade that eventually.
And the other big difference with log flume today versus all those years ago is that the water is actually clean. Like, you know, at least the last like the last time that I went there, the water was actually clean. So I don't know about for you guys.
It wasn't horrible. It didn't smell. Yeah, it was probably better than when we were there. I will admit that. And I'll be honest
But
with you.
they have painted the reservoir to kind of make it look.
Well, that's the
cleaner
problem.
than it is.
You nailed it on the head, Andy. That's why I was trying to think. I was like, is it really, or did they just trick me? That's really what I was trying to think. But I didn't smell chlorine and I didn't smell nasty when I got off. So I guess they found a happy medium, you know?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you had an interesting career. So how many years were you there?
4 seasons. Yeah. So my last season in grounds, I was a porter, right, for the beginning. Then I became a lead, and then I was actually the parking lot lead at the end of it. So.
And what year was that? Your last year?
97.
Okay.
What do you do in the parking
97.
lot?
So it was like
Parking lot? That sounds boring as fuck.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
It really was. Yeah. I mean, it would be like, oh, hey, you know, go over to the warehouse, pick up a bunch of toilet paper, and bring it out to the. Like, honestly, that's all it was. I was just driving toilet paper from one end of the park to the other end of the park, and I would drop off, like, you know, the picnic area, the attendants for the picnic area, you know, and that was kind of it. But
that's not bad. I mean, that's actually not a bad way to go out. I mean, a lot of people had it a lot worse, you know. So,
yeah,
it's funny. That was my last year too. So yeah, I have a feeling a lot of us, like most of us, left around that time frame. So, all right. Well, here, I'll jump into something that's weird. The year I left, I got downsized at the end of this season, but I got offered another full-time position. I turned it down, and the only reason I turned it down is because I remember hearing the rumor that Premier was buying the park, and it was always a known thing that when the park gets bought out, full-timers get fucked. So, and also they offered me a full food service one, and I just never wanted to go in food service, so I just didn't. Nothing equaled that was a smart move for me to make. And my buddy here, Scott, actually was working at a separate place that had a much better offer than staying in a park. So I decided, you know, am I going to be a lifer in this place, or am I just going to leave? And I decided, all right, it's in my best interest to leave. And thank God I did. And ironically, that's never changed. So my understanding of the park has always been whenever they get bought out or whenever they're having a hard time, they just fucking destroy the full-time staff and they slash and they just make do with what they have. I don't know if you guys know this, but about a month ago, 12 full-timers were let go. 12.
Oh yeah. Well, I can't. I mean, COVID was horrible for the business. So
yeah,
they must have let a lot of people go.
They let 12 full-timers go, and what really sucks is one of them was our buddy Robbie Z. So that really sucks balls. That also leaves it to where, as far as I know, the only person that we were all like super friendly with is Rich. And I don't know if Rich might have also been one of the 12. I don't know about Rich Giannone, but I know Robbie definitely was. And that sucks. If I wasn't
sitting in Steve's bedroom, I would pour this out.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, it's like, that's nuts to me. Like that's just crazy. But
so Robbie had to be there for how long, like 30 years? Like,
yeah. Robbie was there when I started. Robbie was there, so he was there our whole time. Yeah, because we grew up with him in rides. I mean, yeah. So
they have a pension plan. Would have invested.
You know what? I don't know. Maybe they do. I mean, maybe. It's still, it just sucks though. I mean, yeah. All right. Well, one of the other things we're here for is because it's funny. One of the things that we always talk about, like unoccasionally here and there, is that we absolutely, we're kind of we're always a little bit focused on the 120 project, which is something that we just have a fascination with, and a lot of people don't even know what the hell it is, and we brought it up quite a few times. It was only tried once at Great Adventure. It was a somewhat quick project. It was shut down. It started one season, ended the same season, never even made it to the end of the season. It was a project that was called officially the Frontier Project, although most people call it the 120 Project. That's what we've always referred to it as. It also obviously took place in the Western section, hence the Frontier Project name. Luckily, most of us in the podcast still stayed friendly with like everybody pretty much for the most part that we ever worked with. And so that includes like full-timers, management, like high up level people. So we have a lot of contacts that we're still able to talk to. And we've spent a lot of time. It's funny, like I have a sheet of paper I showed here to Scott that's dated March 27th, 2021, that details who I'm going to reach out to talk about the 120 project. So that's literally a year ago. And I know me and Andy talked about it even before then. So we've been talking to people for a while now, for like over a year, about trying to get the details of it. Because the weird thing about the Frontier Project is that it's over 30 years ago at this point, pretty much. And people, are around 30 years ago, and people just don't remember it. And it was such a short-lived project that even the people that were part of it have kind of fuzzy memories. So two of our guests here actually were part of it. So Tony was in it, and he was the lead of the cables at the time, and Manish was in it, and he was basically a bitch boy at the time. He was a black tag. So
as a matter of fact, I heard a rumor, Manish.
Oh,
I heard a rumor that you were the 120 project. You were literally the only person affected by or making sure that the 120 project happened, where you were passed around like a secondhand 2-bit. I don't want to say the word here. Prostitute to go to different rides and restaurants. Porter, perhaps here and there in a restroom.
What were you doing in the restroom, Manish? I'm so confused. Is this true? Is this rumor true, Manish?
Manish was really working hard during the extra $1 an hour.
Well, I did get that $1 an hour, so it was
Good job. Good job.
Yeah, I did a lot. I'm not
Cold
gonna.
Manish.
I earned every penny I got there. Let's just leave it at that.
That's right.
The 120. I did actually have a schedule where I had to go to a bunch of different places, right? So it was in the beginning it was 2 days Log Flume, 2 days Best of the West, and then 1 day at like the game stand, and then the games got taken out, and I was 3 days Log Flume. So, but it was like a weird. I don't know.
So
it
did
was
you
like
ever
a weird
work a game stand?
I did once. I did like that frog blog, where you just like you put the frog on, you like
right in front of coaster.
Because the other rumor I heard was
I did that
you had a hot sister that worked games. Is that any truth to that?
So I have a sister, and yeah, she did work games. So yeah, she was there, Steve. Scott, thank you very much. That's another rumor.
Okay, just put it out there.
So you were a black tag during the time, and Tony, you were a red tag. And all right, so let's hold that for a second. Let me throw a couple of facts out on it, and then we'll jump back to you guys, because we're going to ask you, because you guys have very different perspectives on how the project worked based on your actual tag color, obviously. So here's some of the facts that we were able to get from talking to a lot of people. And the first thing we're going to make it very clear. Most people that worked it hysterically have, including you guys, because we talked to you guys before we even got on this podcast too. We've talked to you guys a few times about this. A lot of people just have spotty memories of it because it was almost 30 years ago and it was really short-lived. And I also think a lot of people just they didn't want to be there. So they just kind of phased it out of their freaking memories from what we could tell,
Well, how much would that suck if it's like, hey, you start the summer on coaster and you finish in some bathrooms or food service.
It's true.
Manish, how much did it suck?
Yeah, it's true.
It sucked a lot. It did suck a lot.
I would have
So,
left.
yeah, I wanted to.
Yeah, it was not a good surprise at all.
Andy, that's a key thing. You say you would have
festival.
left, but guess what? I specifically made sure to ask a lot of people, were they allowed to transfer out if they were displeased? And the answer was, surprisingly, fuck no. Once you were in it, you were stuck in it. You were not getting out. They would not approve any transfers out of the section.
I would have gone down to the boardwalk.
I know, right? Well, here's a question for you, Andy. I distinctly remember, and I do not remember who it was, and maybe this is just old man mind playing games because revisionist history when you get older and you don't remember things properly. I distinctly remember that me and you were asked if we wanted to be part of it, and we both said no and we left. Is that true, or did we just get moved out and we were not asked? We were asked, right?
We were asked. I actually had to I interviewed and everything. It was it was a whole process, like application process.
All right, so I'm not wrong. I thought so.
Yeah.
Okay, absolutely. And then we both said no, right?
Actually, I don't even know if I had the option to say no. I think they told me no.
I thought we both had the option, to be quite honest with you. I could be wrong. I absolutely could be wrong.
I remember because they selected Steve and Kathy, right?
No, actually, so the full-time staff that was there it was basically Denise Hoban was the top of the chain as the full-timer in charge. Steve Lisa was sort of like the sole other full-timer that basically ran the whole damn thing. And then it was made up of 4 seasonal soups. Jim Chappelle from Rides, Sue Heekin from Rides, Sean Sneed from Foods. I'm so sorry if I'm laughing. I should not be laughing. That's very inappropriate. And somebody, Milan Patel from Games. So, all right, now taking Scott out of the equation for a second, okay?
What's your last name, Manish?
This is actually surprising. Until we talked about the project, I did not even realize that your sister worked at the park. I knew your brother did. I swear to God, I didn't realize your sister worked at it. And because when me and Andy left 120, we gave a shit so little, I didn't even know who the soups were. I just didn't give a fuck. We were on the other side of the park in Adventure Rivers, did not care. That was that.
I was super pissed that summer.
Yeah.
I had a bad attitude the whole
we both we were
160 and
absolutely.
I didn't give a fuck about anything.
We were both the same way. So it's hysterical because when Manish was like, well, yeah, my sister is one of the seasonal soups, I was like, the fuck is he talking about? I literally didn't, and I didn't realize she worked at the park. So like totally boggled my mind. But again, that kind of adds to the mystery of the thing of how little we knew, but that was actually the pick, which is funny because if you think about it, that was a really smart pick because Rides would be the thing you have to worry about the most. And at the time, Denise had also been in Rides. So you have Steve, Lisa, Denise, Jim, Sue, all very acquainted with Rides, and Sue absolutely acquainted with 120, and I believe Denise was as well. Steve Lisa could pretty much run anything. I mean, he was, fantastic. And then you needed someone that knew foods, so they brought Sean Sneed. And that, to be honest with you, I know we shit on Sean a lot because I'm going to be blunt. We worked with him and he wasn't very good as a ride soup. I mean, we're not being dishonest. He sucked. Okay. But he may have been a very good food soup. We don't know that. Now, I don't know how he was. I'll leave it to you guys when we talk to you guys about the section. I don't know how he was with you guys working with him, or if like most of the 160 people said, you'd probably never even fucking saw him when he was there. But, he made sense because someone had to know foods. And then Milan made sense because she knew games. And ironically, though, she pretty much got fucked the most because, like you had mentioned, games got booted almost right away. So it opened up where it was going to be foods, rides, games, and grounds. And then pretty damn quickly, within like a week, apparently, from what everyone could say that was in management of it at the time, they just decided games didn't make any damn sense. So games was no longer a part of it. However, she was kept in it because they needed the 4 soups. So it ended up just being really foods, rides, and grounds.
Which really kind of, it's like, doesn't make sense. Like you would think of all those 4 departments, the one that wouldn't be a little different would be rides because, people can die. Like nobody dies on playing a game.
You would think that, but I'll go back to the history of it and it'll make a little more sense on how they made their selection for it. And it is really kind of interesting. It's a little bit crazy. All right. So the Frontier Project ran basically at the end of the Ray Williams era in 1994. And it's funny how hard it was, again, for any of us to lock these fucking facts in and remember everything about it. But what we got was 1994 is when it ran. And the reason that it was created was because Ray had an initiative for cross-developmental stuff called an innovation groups. And it was a bunch of full-timers that got brought in, and they were cross-departmental, and they were supposed to come up with these ideas that would help the park. And he wanted these really inventive, great ideas. And so, and apparently he was kind of a ball buster about it. And one of the ideas that got thrown out, which probably came from any other business that cross-trains people, but one of the ideas that came out was like, well, we're always fucking short-staffed, so why don't we just cross-train all the departments, and then that relieves the short-staffing issue. And he immediately was like, that's a fucking genius idea. That's what we're going to do. So from what we can gather from talking to everybody, the Frontier 120 section was chosen for this project that year, okay? And it was thought of in the beginning, so it was put into place in the middle of the year. It only ran for about 8 weeks. It never made it to the end of the year, okay? It basically got demolished about the time they went weekends only for the fall. And there's two reasons that people believe it was created into 120. The most logical reason that I was told is that
120 Western sucks.
Well, no, because then they wouldn't have put it there. They would put it in that. They would have put it in that lame ass 140 section with your wonderful outfits that you wore.
Actually,
okay?
I mean, it would have made more sense to
go
put
back
it where
a
there
little
were more flat
farther,
rides, because it would have been easier to train people, you would think.
Bingo.
Right?
Bingo. Rides wasn't taken into account, though. What were you saying, Andy?
I would say if you go back a little farther that season, that was one of our seasons where you and I were there, and that was running very smoothly.
Oh my God, beautifully. With two soups,
Right.
by the way, with two soups. A section that should traditionally always have 3 soups only had 2 of us, and was like fucking butter. Just smooth as shit,
Right.
man.
That was like
know.
the second year
was
we were
great, though.
together in 120, and yeah, no, everything was running great
I
before
know.
that
Like-
bombshell. Yeah.
Tony just pieced that all together in like 2 seconds. That 140 probably would have been a logical place to
Okay,
start.
It would
So-
have been. It would have been
so
a
it
completely
would
more
have,
logical place to do
If
it.
they came to it from the idea of why, like, what is the most appropriate thing to make this functionally work? But that is not how, from everyone we talked to, that's not how they came upon this. This is how they came upon where they went with Frontier. And this does make sense if you think of it from a higher level management who doesn't understand what it's like to be on the front line out in the park working. Okay. This is where it came from. In 1994, the West had very low foot traffic, the lowest of the park, and they knew it would. And the reason for that is because in 1993, Batman the Ride opened, pulling most of the people over to 150. The year before that, the Batman Stunt Show opened right next to the Batman the Ride, and they were trying to pull everyone in there. In 1994, they opened the new ride, which was the Right Stuff Mach 1 Adventure at 130. So what they knew was the bulk of people were still coming in for the Batman section because there was the Batman craze at the time. Then the other people that would be coming in are going to go into Game Square because they're coming in for the new ride, and because, you know, then they're going to fortune over that side.
And
so
nobody
basically,
was ever more disappointed in their life than the ones who went right to the Mach 1 stimulator.
I don't know. I liked it in year 1. I liked it when they did the dinosaurs. I
Yeah,
mean, you know.
And
Would you
Steve,
wait- yeah, Dino Island was awesome. But would you wait in line like hours and
No,
get there
well,
and be
the
like,
line sucked, but
"Ah."
let's be honest. It was a very all right. So in a logical point, though, it was the only time that Great Adventure actually, outside of the fucking Houdini ride still going on right now, put a ride in there that older people could go in and actually relax in. Most older people that can't ride regular rides aren't going on anything. Like, they bring their kids there and they have to sit on benches.
Yeah, read
At
the
least they had a
room, though.
fucking ride they could go on, you know?
Read the room. How many old people do you see at Great Adventure? I don't see. I
yeah,
don't
but
see
that was the
many.
big thing at the time. A lot of parks were putting in those kinds of rides, and
Absolutely.
that was one of the first ones they did that it had like a pre-show with the
Yep.
full themed queue line and everything.
It was their
You know, that's when
attempt
they were
at
in the
being
middle of all
Disney.
that.
Yeah, it was their attempt
But-
at being Disney.
Steve, where's 160 at this point? Is it 1 year old? Is it the first year that up? Because that happened right around the same time.
So
also, I thought.
160 is now 1 year old because we came in the second year. We both thought we came in the opening, but that is not true. It was Jeff Horvath, Debbie Levine, and I forget who the third person was. They opened the Adventure Rivers the year before us, and then in 1993, and then in 1994, when we left 120, we went to Adventure Rivers. So, and that to your point though, again, pooling all the people over to the east side, meaning they already knew traffic was going to be so fucking low that they said, and then on top of it, even to make it even worse, because the throughput was getting so heavy over there, that's also the year 1994, they put in the Autobahn and those little games that we had, those 4 games over there too, because they were trying to increase throughput over there because they had all these rides sucking people over there. So from a logical standpoint, if you're a high-level manager and you have no clue how it actually is to run the park in the park, that all makes sense, right? When you're looking at just like a map and where you expect people to go.
That does make sense.
However, as we've all just got done saying, what the flying fuck? You take a section that has only 5 rides, 4 major rides, 2 coasters, which are 2 of the hardest coasters. You have the log flume, you have the cables, so you can't really have that shut down because then you're fucking the other side of the park too. And you have Minish's El Sombrero.
Yeah,
Minish's El Sombrero.
Can't forget
That was it.
and that forget.
But it's crazy because you guys are all right. When you think about it, like if you look at it from a rides perspective, that is the worst effing thing they could ever do is going to 120.
We had ride supervisors who didn't cover 120. I mean, it was not an easy section to. I mean, when everything was fine, but when it was like a shit show there and everything went down at the same time.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a crazy section.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy. And it's funny because I specifically asked, did you ever experience a power failure? Because I wanted to hear a story of like Sean Sneed during a fucking power failure in 120. However, no, those lucky motherfuckers never had a power failure during the entire time, that 8 weeks or so that project ran. Nobody remembers any fucking power failure. However, one of the soups did tell me a funny story where they got stuck covering a cashier's break at Best of the West, and the fucking mine train went down, and they couldn't get out to get to the breakdown, and they were totally fucked, which cracked me the hell up. I thought that was pretty goddamn funny. But yeah, they actually lucked out a lot when you think about the soups they had and the potential for like a major power failure or something of that level, but they just didn't run into it. So, you know, that was lucky for them. And so here's the ironic part about it. Before we start talking to you guys about the details while you were there, here's the ironic part. So the purpose of it, the whole purpose of the project is to try to create a formula to solve short staffing issues. Okay. You cross-train everyone. And this does make a little logic, right? You start cross-training everyone, and then whatchamacallit, you know, you kind of solve your short staffing issue, right? In the middle of the day, you have people that can go anywhere, right? And then they put it in place. They run it for like 7-8 weeks. They hit weekends only, and they're so fucking short-staffed, they just terminate it without telling anybody. Literally, they just shut it the fuck down. Don't tell anybody. Manish, I think I asked you about it, and you were like, yeah, I just literally came in and was told I don't have to work multi departments anymore, right? Isn't that what they did to you?
They didn't even say that. They were just like, yeah, you know, your new schedule is 5 days log flume. It's like, oh, so it's like not no, the program's ending, not anything like that. It's just, oh, your new schedule is just 5 days log flume. I'm like, okay, cool.
But that hurt, right? Because you didn't get any of that foods money at that point because you were like making more money at foods, weren't you?
So there was the differential, right? Like where
yes,
the 2
there
days
was
that you know, which. You know, so it was like, I guess it was like an extra $1. I mean, I don't remember what it was exactly, but yeah, there was like a differential about like going from rides to foods because foods did get paid a little bit more.
What I was told though, and so this was, I don't know if this actually happened. So you guys can confirm if this really happened or not. And actually, I guess for you, Tony, since you never got moved anywhere as a lead, this probably wouldn't even apply to you, but Manish, you could tell me. I know from management that when they were creating the project, the idea was that they recognized fully that crossing people over different departments causes a problem because there is a pay differential between departments, okay? And between like shifts and everything. So what their original intention was, and this was supposed to go into play, was that all employees would get a pay differential to make you all even if you worked in that project. So as long as you worked on that Frontier project, everybody was supposed to be basically be kind of getting the same pay, minus what you would get if you were there for, additional years or anything like that. Like if you got like a 5-cent raise because you came back, or a 10-cent raise because you came back the following year, that was still yours. But as far as your base pay, that was all supposed to be taken into consideration. You were all supposed to be equalized out. And then from what I was told, when it ended, they thought that they were going to keep that for those people until the end of the year and not screw them when they went weekends only. Did that actually happen, or did it work like depending on where the fuck you worked is whether or not you got it? Do you remember?
I don't really remember us getting this. I remember. I'm pretty sure I remember us getting different pay from when we were rides and when we were like foods. So I don't remember them saying like, oh, it's equalized, and I don't really remember that actually happening. I remember at the end, it was just like the regular $6 an hour that you get for working a night shift in rides. It wasn't anything more than that. But I don't think they ended up doing,
I remember
everyone in Frontier getting it.
I remember at one point we had a meeting, and it was like all the leads with the supervisors and everything. And they were talking about that's what they were thinking about, doing that increase across the board. And the leads are like, well, they're going to be making more money than us. Like, what about us? And they were like, well, yeah, well, I guess we got to talk about that, And then they brought that back to them. And they're like, hey, it's not fair. We're leads, we're getting the extra quarter, or whatever it was. But yeah, we had our employees making more money because they were working at Best of West or some other food location.
Right. Yeah.
Casa de Taco.
Funny.
Casa de Taco, yeah.
And Conestoga Wagon, right? Love the Conestoga Wagon.
Conestoga, yep.
Yeah.
So, all right, so let's take a jump back. Here's the funnier one. And Tony, it's funny because you brought this up as what you thought, and other people agreed with you. And we're being quiet because obviously we talked to a lot of people, and some people didn't really want their names brought up. But other people agreed that this may have been a reason. The other reason, this is so fucking silly, it's hysterical, but I almost want to believe this is really the reason. The other reason they chose 120 is because every department in all the other sections had different uniforms. If you went to rides, you had the Fantasy Forest outfit. And if you were in the food service in that area, though, you had the food service outfit. They were all different outfits. However, in Frontier, everybody had the Western outfit for the most part. Okay, porters, I think, didn't in grounds, but for the most part, the foods people did and the rides people did. They all the same outfit. So they basically were like, well, if we have to switch someone in the middle of a day, they don't have to go for a wardrobe change, which if you work in almost any area except 160 or 150, you're kind of fucked. It's a time consuming thing to make someone change their outfit. And so that was one of the reasons why a lot of people thought they actually picked the section. I really hope it was more the traffic, but I really believe it was probably the wardrobe. Just,
that was one of the things that was explained to us as why we were being chosen. One of the reasons when they were explaining it all to us is that the theming, and they wanted this to be the example for the rest of the park, being that it was so Western themed and it was the Frontier project, they call it. And everybody had the pretty much the same Western outfit. So you didn't, wardrobe from 120, it was the furthest you could go for a wardrobe change in the park.
Yeah.
So you would have been gone like probably a half hour at least if you needed to do a wardrobe change.
At least, yeah.
Although I will say, in their defense, it was the coolest outfit at the time, in my opinion, in the ride section. It was the coolest one. It looked pretty goddamn cool. So
I didn't mind it.
I love the neckerchief. I mean,
I know you love 141. I know you do, Scott. I know. But
the 160
better than the rainbow shirts?
Better than the old country.
That's the old country were pretty bad too. Yeah. Those are pretty bad. Actually, I forgot about those. Those were pretty goddamn bad. See, if Peluso didn't know show, he could have piped up. See, that's his outfit. So, all right. So, here's a crazy one. So there was a period of time where if you were a ride supervisor, and I never got to experience this, but I knew well about it because it actually got demolished the year before I got promoted. Where there was a hidden bonus where if you're a ride soup every year at the end of the year, you all got, and I believe, Andy, it was $100 bonus, right? I believe that was the secret bonus.
It was so little, I really don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was 100. I'm pretty sure, if going off memory, it's $100 bonus.
I believe it was a book of U.S. postage stamps.
Probably.
Some bucks, maybe.
Yeah. However, here's something probably nobody here knows. If you were one of the people in the 120 project, you also got a bonus at the end of that year. How much do you think that bonus was?
$5.
Right, we'll take that $5 one.
I don't remember getting a bonus at all.
You did not. No. Management got it, not you guys. Leads are not management. No. Management, seasonal soups and above, not you guys. And mind you, their management's only a few people there. There's not a lot of people running the project, so it's not, to them, it's not a big expense to give anyone a bonus there because there's only like 6 fucking people in the whole project, right? But how much? Take a guess how much it was.
So like $10 a week. So like maybe $80 they got.
Okay. Tony, what's your guess?
So are you talking about full-time supervisors or seasonal supervisors?
All of them, all 6. Well, maybe not Denise, but they all got the same amount, and they all got a one-time only bonus for participating in the project.
$200.
Okay. Andy?
All right, well, I guess it was more than the 100 you remember getting that I don't, but I'll say up there around, let's say $250.
$1,000.
Wow.
What?
$1,000?
They got
That was like 10% of my salary back then.
Andy, right? How pissed are you that you didn't stay? How mad am I right now? I'm like, what? 7 weeks of that bullshit? You gave me $1,000?
$1,000 in blood money. I wouldn't have taken that.
I agree.
Put up with that.
You know what's funny? I thought about this after I found that out, and I thought about it, and I was like, if I had known they were going to do that, would I have stayed? Like, knowing now, though, like, what would have came out of it, right? I wouldn't have stayed either. I honestly still wouldn't have stayed because I still thought it was going to fail. I mean, everything that they described to us about it when we interviewed was that it was not going to go. It was going to be a colossal fuck up. I didn't understand. I just didn't understand how it was going to work in that section too, which made me scary. And I think the biggest thing I was scared about was that, I think the biggest thing that I was scared about was that you wouldn't be there, Andy. And then I would get stuck with people who didn't know the section because we didn't know who was going to be with us. And it wasn't a guarantee. So it was kind of one of those things where, and I knew you didn't want to be there. So I was also like, and I didn't want to be there either, but I was like, fuck, if I stay out of loyalty to 120, I'm fucking boned. Like, this is going to suck.
Well, that was kind of the only reason I wanted to stay anyway. Those were my rides. I never worked another section, even as a black tech, and I didn't want to leave, especially in the middle of the summer.
Me too.
So, I really wasn't interested in the other stuff. Maybe that came across. Maybe that's why I didn't get picked. But
well, it's funny. I mean, me and you both grew up in 120 as rides people, you know, so that was our thing.
I guess I was glad that we both went. I would have been really pissed if you didn't stay.
I know. No, it was vice versa too. It would have been the same exact thing. However, it's funny because now looking back on it, I'm really glad that we did. Not only because it sounded like the project was a colossal clusterfuck, and it still does sound like it from all points of it. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Only one person said that they felt really proud that they got picked to be part of the management team. One person said that. One person was actually like I looked at it like it was like a bonus thing. Like they wanted me because they thought that I could help out with something that was innovative for the park. Most people did not look at it that way. Most people just looked at it like, oh, it was something new. And that was it. Like there wasn't any expectations that it was going to be like, something fantastic, I jokingly crap on the Eastern side, but I absolutely loved all my time when I was over on the Eastern side as a supervisor. When I was in 160, with you, when I was in 160 with Scott and Gary, and I loved it. I mean, shit, even when I was in 160 with Sean Steed, I still loved the section. I mean, he was just a dope.
Because I was there.
You were there, and he was just a dope. I mean, but the section was still good. The people were fantastic, and I loved the rides. And I had the same pride that I had when I was in 120. Like in 120, you learn how to run the coaster, you learn how to run the mine train. You take a pride in that. You know how to go up and do all the cable checks from the top. You take a pride in that. Although I will say, I'm gonna give kudos to the Eastern side because you take a little more pride in knowing how to do the checks from the Eastern side than you do from the Western side because it's a lot more complicated. However, learning how to run the fucking rapids in manual though, that's like true pride. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff I loved.
That's like free fall operator territory, right?
Free fall's way worse, but way fucking worse. But yeah. I mean, it's definitely, once you know how to do it, it's a thing of pride. And yeah, so I mean, I'm happy I did go over there, and I'm happy I finished out over there too. As far as rides goes, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, though, it's funny. I asked if anyone felt like there was something good that came out of this project, and the only thing that any of us could figure out that might have been something that came out of it. Well, it's close. The only thing that people thought of that might actually came out of it that was a good thing for the park that they even attempted it was that it was either the year after or the year after that they actually did merge grounds and rides, which was somewhat successful.
It was the year after.
Yeah.
I thought it was the year after. And that we're pretty sure that came out of this project. But outside of it, it's the only thing that came out of the project. Like nobody could think of anything else that came out of it good. And Tony, you and Manish, you guys were in there as a red tag and as a black tag individually. Did you guys see anything where you thought, oh, this sucks, but I see why they're doing it because this actually makes sense? Like, and I'm not trying to be a dick about the project. I'm honestly being honest. Like, did you, like, you didn't leave, you correct me if I'm wrong, Tony, but as a red tag, they never moved you guys around. So for you, the project didn't fucking really matter. I mean, you just.
Well, it did because in running the rides, like, in terms of our operators and everything, they took away our operators to go.
You'd have less operators, and you'd also have to checklist people that were like from fucking foods and shit that had less,
and we
knowledge
had to train
of rides.
A ton of people from foods and other departments on the rides, right? And we would try to train them for operator, and none of them wanted to be an operator.
Right.
It's not like, I mean, cross training was always a problem, like especially on major rides like that. Like it was always a problem finding operators, always a problem finding time.
Yeah. And when you had almost all your operators working at Best of the West or other food stands, then like it limited what you could do at your ride, basically, it just limited everything that you could do. So it was a disaster kind of from the get-go. And then as the project kind of evolved, they started keeping operators at the rides that they that they were trained at more often, and less time at the food stand. And then eventually towards the end, it was just like, all right, rides people are rides places, foods people are foods places. And they just kind of, and then it ended.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it sounds like as they went along, they just kind of didn't buy into it themselves as much anyway, like,
no, it was they made it it was too complicated. Incorporating rides was one of the most, if they would have done it, let's say like grounds, maybe foods, or and merch, I don't know, any of those three, but throwing rides in the mix, it just complicated things, I think, too much.
It's funny, I thought about it a lot, and I kind of was wondering why the fuck they didn't try it with like foods and merch. Why would those two not be the two? Maybe even foods, merch, and games, because you're all dealing with money. Okay.
That's true, yeah.
That would make a little more sense. Okay. They clearly didn't. Shows was never going to be part of this because they were like, we're skilled fucking entertainment. How the fuck are you going to put someone in us? So they were out from the beginning. And obviously, security.
Like, hey, Manish, you're going to do the high dive show today.
You're training the Dolphins today. You didn't know it, but you're training them.
Listen, Manish, you're going to be the top pyramid on the ski show. So you're going to be like 3 stories up on the ski show.
Just throw them in a Bugs Bunny costume,
Right.
Yeah, right.
That's fine. Grounds and rides. They never cross-trained staff. It was only the supervisors.
Correct. That is absolutely true. And here's the joke about that, though. If you think about it logically, grounds always helped rides when we were short-staffed in checklisting only capabilities. We never tried to make them operators for the most part, but we always had grounds people that we checklisted. I mean, I'm going to bring up a name of someone who you would never think of as a rides operator, but Brian Oakes got checklisted on the log flume all the fucking time, was constantly being put up on what fucking, Brian Oakes, dude. Yeah. So it's like, there were people who you're like, they should never even be near a ride, but they were, because checklisting on putting them up top somewhere was like easy on certain
He was
rides.
on lift 1.
Kiddie Pool's his kryptonite.
Yeah, I remember him being on lift 1.
None of you were afraid he was
remember
going to
being
get
on
in the
lift 1.
water.
Well, because he wanted lift 2 to be a water slide. I don't know how many times that kid pulled me to the side, was like that should be a water slide.
Waiting to happen.
Well, that's the thing,
But,
right? Like, heck, imagine like in the program, if you're trying to train somebody on Best of the West, right? And I'm not saying that, like that they wouldn't pick it up. It's just they didn't want to, right? But imagine training them how to run lift 2, right? I mean, it's like, okay, you have 2 boats close together. You stop the first belt, lower belt, and then, you have to wait till the other one goes over before you, and it's like, like it's simple enough, but like getting the timing down, right? I mean, like, yeah, it was just destined for,
Look, I'm
Yeah.
gonna
Rides
put
is
this
hard
way.
enough to cross-train with other rides employees. Like if you work,
yeah,
in a kitchen and foods, it's probably the same no matter what kitchen in the park you're in. You know, same thing if you're a cashier. But
Yeah,
even
for
just
sure.
being an attendant on one ride versus another ride is completely different.
Yeah,
well, I mean, an attendant on El Sombrero, right? Like, you walk around in circles all day. An attendant on a coaster, right? If you have to actually manually unlock somebody, right? I mean, you can get
Yeah.
electrocuted, right? Like, you think about that. If they hit the lock button, you'll get electrocuted, right? So
yeah.
I mean, like that.
Well,
It's a big
it'll
difference.
hurt
Well,
a little.
not die. You'll just get a shock.
Yeah.
I should say you'll get a shock. You'll get a shock,
Yeah.
but but yeah.
I gotta tell you, I have a lot of memories, and Andy, you had to have heard this because you would hear us on the mic. I mean, when you were at Mine Train and I was at Log Flume, there's no way you never heard this happening. When Log Flume would go down and we'd have a checklisted person on lift 1 and we'd have to get on a mic because they wouldn't pick up the fucking phone and we'd be on mic on push the button push the button because we just wanted to start the fucking lift, and they're just literally all we trained them to do was if it shuts off, we're going to call you on the phone, pick up and press this one button. That's all you have to do.
You'd watch it on the control panel, be like, all right, lift 2 started. All right, spillway, shoot, lift 1. Lift 1. Come on, lift 1.
My favorite is
screaming up there.
Oh my God. I remember pointing at the phone and the guy kept looking at me and pointing back at me. And I'm like, what does that mean? And then I got on a mic and I'm just yelling it over the mic. Pick up the phone or push the button. And he just kept going like this, just raising his hands in the air like, I don't know what you're saying. I'm like, oh my God. And then I'd have to fucking send someone to run up there and press the damn button, like, oh, man. I think this is the last thing that that I have as far as the project goes before we just, throw it off to you guys if you have any comments about it. Or like, Manish, you have to have stories about working there. But the last funny thing is, so they actually had their own office, Andy. They had their own office. Where do you think it was?
Oh, I remember. Oh, I knew that. Yeah, I remember it was in behind the shootout, right?
It was my office. Yeah, the office that would become my office.
That's when they redid that.
Yep.
Like when it became your office, it was not a.
I didn't even realize
it had been changed from when it was season pass process.
Yep. Well, that's the thing. I didn't realize that they had it. I remember it being seasons past, and I just thought that. I don't think I ever realized that they had been working out of there at all. So it kind of cracked me up when I found that out, and I was like, oh. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. That wasn't my office. It was their office first. Then it became my office. So they still had it before me. So, But, all right. So let's throw it to you guys. I mean, you guys actually had to live in the trenches for 7-8 weeks, if it. So, Tony, as a lead, any memorable stories or anything that you could throw in on it?
Well, just before I get into that, was it really 94?
Yeah.
Why did we keep thinking it was like 95 or...
Well, because we weren't positive at the beginning, but after talking to about 10 people, the popular consensus is it had to be 94 because the following year, 95 is when Rides and Grounds did that merge.
95 is
and I went back to 120 in 95.
Yep.
And
so it had to be 94.
Started in 96, and in the middle of
and it also matches.
I went to games.
And it all matches up to also where the rides were, where all the new rides were, and where everything was getting put in. It all matches up to 94. Yeah.
Gotcha. Wow.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, because 95 was the Viper, right?
Oh yeah, 95 was Viper, right?
It was the Viper, and they didn't have it, and that wasn't a part of it, right?
It was not. It was only the 4 major rides in El Sombrero. Yeah.
I was actually like kind of fuzzy on the year until you guys were just mentioning actually the office, and I remember that office in the back now by Western Shootout.
Yep.
And so that was 94 though, because
Well, 94 I started as the Dream Street Cables lead. Jim Chappelle brought me over to Adventure Rivers, Congo Rapids, and then he like was gone, and
because we swapped.
Andy came in.
We swapped, yeah.
And the next year, 95 was my first year as supervisor, so that's how I know for sure it was 94.
Yep.
Yeah, all I know is it started with a lot of fanfare. You know, they wanted us to all get on board and tell us how exciting it was going to be. We're going to be part of this new thing, never been tried before, and you know, as leads, they would tell us like, look, you know, you being part of this is going to be valuable, you know, for your next step, and you know, you could be this will be a good thing to put on your resume for the next, you know, if you want to be a supervisor or whatever. And they got everybody hyped up about it. Did all this massive training and everything, and every week that went by, it was like it just seemed to get worse and worse and worse until finally, even, like you said, even the people that were running it were just throwing their hands up like, we give up. This doesn't make sense. So, yeah, I mean, it was just, I think that if they would have done a little bit better planning earlier in the, you know, at the beginning of the season before it even started, and maybe, you know, let people know initially, hey, what they were getting into, this is what we're going to do, but we're going to pay you a little bit more. We're going to give you $1 extra or 50 cents extra or whatever. Maybe there would have been more enthusiasm to make it work. Maybe it would have been, you know, ran a little bit more seamlessly. But I think, you know, to your point, I think the good thing that did come out of it was the rides and grounds combo. So, you know, at least something positive came out of it, I guess. But
yeah, it makes sense.
But, you know, during that time, it was just chaos, you know, and it just, you know, and I don't think anybody was happy from the top to the bottom, you know, from the black tag to the full-time soups that were, you know, overseeing it. You know, it was just a whole stressful situation. But I don't really have any funny stories other than, you know, my employees just kind of like, oh my gosh, I got Best of the West 4 days this week. You know? Like, yeah. And they weren't really even my employees anymore. They were on my roster, but they're like, some of them were in Best of the West 4 days, and they were at Cables 1 day. You know,
what
so
the
it
fuck?
didn't make.
What the fuck they complain about?
That was my assistant lead, by the way.
All the barbecue you can eat. What are they complaining about? All the barbecue you can eat. Come on, man.
Yeah.
All the chicken nuggets.
Hey, Manish, did you ever like cook food as part of this thing?
So I didn't. Oh, so I mean, like the fryer, yeah, right. So you know, I put those like arm guards on, and I did the fryer. I never did the grill, and the grill wasn't even really a grill. It was like you put the burger patty on and it rolled through. So it wasn't like you know, like the like an actual like, you know, grill. But yeah, I did the fryer where you just drop French fries and drop chicken nuggets. It wasn't really very much training. I mean, a lot of it was cashier I did, and then when people order stuff, you put their food together and you, like, you know, hand it out to them.
Just for you, Manish, we just went into Best of the West. Just for you.
Yeah.
I have to say, you know, me and Alan Heakin had our own combo department thing going years before any of this. When he was in grounds, and we would just call ourselves 340 and just walk around together all day. And if something needed to be swept and I had extra people, I'd call the ride, so people out sweeping. If you know, if there was a guest complaint at a ride, sometimes Alan would go. I went to all the breakdowns, but you know, we kind of handled a lot of stuff together.
Oh my God, I miss Alan Heakin so much, man. I really do.
Speaking of Best of the West, you know that big bear that was in Best of the West for so many years?
Yeah.
Did anybody see that bear actually like make bear sounds and growl? And it was kind of like, it was supposed to be more than just a statue of a bear. There was like a sound system hooked up to it.
Yeah, I thought it did. I thought it did growl.
I think so too. Yeah, I think so
yeah.
too.
It also had a keyboard or something part of it where you can make other sounds other than growl.
Oh no. Oh no. Where are you going with this, Tony? Where are you going
So
with
I
this?
figured that out late in my career at Six Flags. I think I was in POS, at the time.
I was like, this has to be when you were in foods. Yeah.
I was in POS, and we were just kind of looking at this bear, and you know, we figured out it made growling sounds, but it also made gun sounds and laser beam sounds, which was hilarious. And that was just something we discovered at random. And I don't know if there was supposed to be a whole like more to that bear, but they never used it anymore. They just stopped using it. You know, like it didn't make sounds anymore or anything like that. I don't know if they wanted to turn it into kind of like what's that restaurant with the moving animals or whatever. But I thought that would have been cool. You know, but I was just curious since you're on the Best of the West theme.
They could have turned it into Chuck E. Cheese, right? With the dancing mouse up there.
Could have done something. It's been fun.
That's funny. What about you, Manish? You were the sucker, man. I mean, we jokingly call you the bitch boy about it, but really, if you're a black tag, you kind of were the bitch boys because you're the only ones that got stuck.
Yeah, you kind of were, right?
I mean, like apartment shafts, you know.
I mean, it was basically just like, you know, wherever wherever you got, you know, you just got stuck wherever. I mean, like I think my schedule was 2 days log flume, and in the beginning, right, 2 days log flume, 2 days Best of the West, and 1 day in games, and then it was just like the games were taken out. And then it was 3 days log flume. But then, you know, but then when the rides closed, if you were an attendant, right, you know, you would get sent to somewhere else, right? So like, you know, I mean, I didn't often get sent away if the ride closed because I was an operator in most of the places. Actually, I was an operator in all the rides there. So yeah, so I didn't really get sent away if the ride closed. I just got sent to a different ride. But I mean, in the beginning I did, but it was just like a little bit of a pain because it's like, okay, you know, you start your day at log flume and then, you know, I don't know, there's lightning and they say, oh, go to the Best of the West. Like how long is there going to be lightning for that I actually need to go there? Why can't I just, I'm like if is it going to be an hour? Like you really want me to go to Best of the West for an hour so I could change like 5 trashes and then come back to log flume to reopen it? Or it was, you know, I don't know. And I think if
hold on. So you're, when we're talking about employee retention, employees being pissed off and employees wanting to go out of the section, I mean, let's be honest. We like me and Andy, we were both black tags in that section. Tony, you were a black tag in that section. Let's be honest. If you're working the cables and you're a black tag and you have high winds, unless you're in the middle of the summer, you're fucking loving life, man. Like you're not getting sent anywhere. They're going to get a pan of broom and fuck around and go walk around, maybe play Burger Time down below. Like it's wonderful. But
dude,
now,
sometimes you'd chill out for 55 minutes and then there'd be another high wind. They'd be like, all right, go chill for another hour.
Yeah, that was great.
And now all of a sudden you're put into this project where it's like, woohoo, high wind. Yeah, go clean the fucking bathroom. Go flip a burger.
You got time to lean, you got time to clean.
You got time to lean, you got time to make a fucking barbecue burger, motherfucker.
Yeah, right?
Hey, get over there.
BBL doesn't look so bad now. Which, by the way, so BBL went to 130 when all this was happening.
Yep.
So that supervisor, you know, must have loved it also, inheriting BBL.
What's funny is, ironically, I didn't realize until I did some like research on it. That's also the year that BBL got the tree, the entry tree. So they gave BBL a refresh and moved it over to the other section. So that's kind of funny. It was like made it a little bit nicer, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the only thing about the high winds. If it was down for too long, you were going to BBL, almost guaranteed, because they were always short at BBL. So that was the only thing about the high winds.
The wind meter was on our side, and I would just turn that dial. Like, no, I'm not ready to work yet, Tony. Sorry, you're going to go to BBL.
That's right. You were on the other side. I forgot about that.
Right.
That's a pretty big scam if you think about it, though, because on the Dream Street side, they're not getting fucked. Like, they're literally going to be just pan and brooming and chilling out in the booth. And if you're on the Western side, you're all getting fucked that year. You're all getting screwed.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's true.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was just crazy. I mean, if they had done it in like the beginning of the season, it might have been better.
I mean, the ironic part is I think from what we gather, that's when the idea came upon. Like it was one of the, like either the very beginning of the season before the park opened or right when the park opened, and then they were able to implement it right in. I think it sounded like maybe they also wanted to do it for a shorter period. Like they wanted to do it like mid-season to end season, so that if it wasn't good, then, you know, no foul, you know, no worry. It wasn't like they screwed the whole season up. But and then if you also think about it, I mean, we're still kind of short staffed in the opening of the season, so it's probably a bad time to try to launch something that to go against short staffing, you know? So
yeah.
But wow. Well, Andy, look, me and you were fascinated by this, which is hysterical because we hated it so much and didn't give a fuck so much when it happened.
That was my worst season of all my 13 seasons I worked
Yeah.
at that park. I hated that whole year. I was so pissed off that whole summer.
Yep.
Well, the second half at least.
Yep.
And I'll never forget, they wanted us. And looking back, you're right, Steve. We said we didn't want to do the seasonal part of it, but we did interview for the full-time job. That's, because what did we always want to get? We wanted a full-time job in
Yep.
rides. If that's
Yep.
how we had to do it, we would have done it that way. But I remember afterwards, after not getting the job, being asked to show one of the new full-timers that came from one of the other departments, how to handle the ride, how to run the ride section.
I remember.
And I remember that the log flume went down. We were eating lunch and the log flume went down. And then I got up to leave and I was like, "What are you doing?" He was like, "I'm finishing my lunch." And I was like, no, we have to go. And I remember just leaving and, he started to slowly get over and I just took off without him. And by the time he had even gotten there, it was pretty much taken care of. But, it's great. It was like handing on, this is who I'm going to give my children to, like that.
Right.
Yeah. I was just really upset that year about that whole thing. And then I went to 160 and I'm glad you liked it, but that was kind of why I just never really gelled over there. I just couldn't wait to get back to 120.
Yeah, no, I hear it. It was funny too, because that was hard. The next year, not going back to 120 with you was going into the deep end. You know what I mean? Because it was again, it was breaking free from everything I loved and I knew like the back of my fucking hand. And to your point, the reason why I remember us, like you said, we were interviewing and we thought we were going to, possibly be able to get the full-time position was because we had done such a fucking great job by, and not by just our own account, by everyone always saying, you don't even need a third tube. You guys can run it. You're good. 120 is good. And that was 2 years we did that. And then all of a sudden you're we were riding high. We thought our shit didn't stink. We knew what the fuck we were doing and we were very fucking good at it. So it's logical to think that if you're going to come into our section that we grew up in for 6 years,
right.
You know what I mean? We're the most logical people. And then it was we were just treated like fucking foreigners that didn't know what we were doing. It was horrible,
Right.
Yeah, it left a bad taste for me too.
All those damn water rides. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, and that was the other thing. Then it was I think the reason I didn't mind staying the following year, the one reason I didn't mind staying is because I kind of felt like I got comfortable with them too pretty quickly. But my fear in going over there was holy fuck, my whole career basically has been in this section. And now I got to learn something that's completely the opposite of what I'm comfortable with. And I was like, God damn it. But then, rides are rides. If you have a logical brain, it's not hard to fucking do any
come
of
on.
them.
Looking back now, all you had to do was just move people around. That's all that whole job was.
Yeah, it was cake, the worst, as long as you
sign a bunch of things.
Sign a bunch of things. Don't be stupid about minors. And let's be honest, just know enough that you don't fucking get someone hurt during it, or your people don't get someone hurt during a breakdown. That's the big thing. The big thing is knowing how to properly handle a fucking breakdown. And once you know that, though, it's cake. It was all cake, Yeah, very true. All right. I think that's it. I don't think I'm ever going to talk about the 120 project again. I think we nailed it in the head. I think, and it's funny because like I said, we interviewed a lot of people, all of us as an individual group, and then separately talked with a lot of people that were part of it. And it is funny. I don't know how much of it is people purged it from their fucking minds because they just didn't want to think of it again, or how much of it is just just fuzzy memory from being almost 30 years ago and not being run for too long. And it also, from my understanding, it was there wasn't a lot of information passed from top up down. So even the management team didn't really know a lot of what was going on all the time and stuff like that. So, there's still a lot of vagaries out there about it, but I think for the most part, I don't think we're ever going to get more information than what we've got and what we went over today. Ironically, I for the last year, I looked through the web in 1,000 different ways to try to Google search any information on it. And we know that there's a couple GA history sites and all that, and I can't find shit. There's just nothing out there about this, which is what piqued my interest even more. Cause I'm this is hidden history of the park that will just be gone. Just be gone. That's it. No one will ever talk about it again. And in a couple of years, people will forget about it completely. And that's be it. Our podcast will probably be the only remaining history of the damn thing in 5 years. You know what I mean?
Then they'll try it again.
Oh my God. Would that be hysterical though? Be so goddamn funny. Well, hopefully, if they did, they listen to our podcast and know. Oh, wait a minute, maybe we put the the bank systems together. Yeah. So, crazy, man. All right. Well, boys, I don't have any other subjects here. So this is a free for all. We got another fucking 5 minutes left.
5 whole minutes. 5
more minutes. And I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure all of us have other rumors we've heard about Manish.
Does it have to be about, Manish?
It doesn't have to be about Manish. I'm just saying,
I was going to ask, because it has to be about 120. Okay, Manish is easy. We could fill like 2 hours in on this one.
Nope.
Manish, do you want to just tell us the rumors yourself? I mean, just tell us them. Why do we even have to throw them out there? Tony has one. Tony has one. I can see him. He's itching.
I mean, I know that there probably wasn't much of the park that wasn't either urinated on or other by Manish. He was like a dog, walk around the park. He would just find a spot and just go, random places.
When you gotta go, right? I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I mean, screw the restrooms. I mean, there were probably like 5 different restrooms in the area, but
but we weren't allowed to use them though, right? If we were in uniform.
Well, yeah, you could use them.
I don't ever remember that rule.
Who told you that?
Maybe we just didn't let Manish use them.
Did someone actually tell you can't use a restroom?
Maybe that's why he was going everywhere in the park, behind bushes, in the closet.
I'm sure that was what they preferred
over
one time, right?
right?
Restrooms in uniform.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember. I think somebody actually did tell me that though. But
is that why you're?
I mean,
you're paying off lift one.
I did set a record to change the subject from my bathroom habits.
Urination problems.
I did set a record for most people in a cable car, right? 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Wait. Yeah. So, was it at least 9 petite people and not like 9 heavy weightlifters? Like
9 grown-ups and a baby. So, or no, 8 grown-ups. Sorry, 8 grown-ups and a baby. Yeah. So, and it was funny because Shorty caught the car on the other side, and he calls up, and he's like, who the is loaded on that side? Like, it's me, Shorty. It's me. And he's just like, what? Like, and he's like, okay, and he just hangs up. And I was just like,
understand the logic. Like, wouldn't you just?
I tried stopping them, right? But they okay. So I was loading the car, and I saw the group, and I was like, okay, yeah, they're gonna split themselves up. They know what they're doing. They just walked in, and then the rest of them walked in. I was like, guys, you gotta get out. You gotta get. And I was like, you know what? You're all like comfortable. Like, I just shut the door when I let them go. And I probably shouldn't have done that. I'm assuming it was more than 660 pounds.
I mean, you couldn't have at least called the other side, but hey, Shorty, there's a clown car coming in 43. I mean, you couldn't have gave him that warning,
They never called, man. Those fuckers never called. They can be 3 or 4 cars coming back to
Hey, Tony, he's right. We never called. We didn't give a fuck.
No, that was the best. No, just send the bunch over right next to each other.
I never called.
Back to back? How many times did you send it back? Like, fuck them?
Yeah, where's the fun in that? If you're calling, let them know.
Right there.
You gotta keep them on their toes.
Goddamn right. Fucking cocky motherfuckers. Knock them down a couple
I remember
pegs.
Manish being up there for when we started having all that light curtain shit. I know it wasn't the cause of it, but I know you weren't the cause of it. I know who that was.
We all know
a lot of times you were that generation where I had to walk up there all the time, pissed off, just to turn the key because someone dropped a piece of ice or something stupid in the light curtain.
I remember when I was the lead at Dream Street, it was always, there was a squirrel that ran through. I was like, really? The squirrel ran through both light curtains on both sides.
No, they used to do this thing where they would throw shit along the ground under it and try, because it was like a quarter of an inch off the ground.
Yeah.
The light curtain, the beam.
Yeah.
And people would try and throw ice and shit under it.
People would drop keys there. People would drop pens down there, and it would set it off. It was always getting set off by silly stuff.
I remember people grabbing onto the cars and riding over the light curtain, only to jump off on the other side of it. Before you got to the net. Yeah, the light curtain really made things very dangerous.
Yeah, it really added to that safety. Actually, when we went, We went on the cables. Did we look? Was the light curtain still there? I don't remember even looking. All right, we'll have to look this summer. We'll have to look because we're going to definitely go back. So we'll have to check because that's funny. I'm wondering if it's even fucking still there because Jesus Christ.
Well, so
I remember
changed it,
catching
it doesn't
the
automatic.
cable crew like laying on those nets like they were on some big catamaran or something whenever the ride was down. Just chilling out in the sun on those nets.
What year was that? I wasn't there for that one.
When did that stuff go in?
I don't even remember. I don't remember the year.
Oh man, that would have been funny.
So they changed the cables.
That must have been 90
years
before that. That must have been like 92, 93, something like that.
Yeah, around that. Those were the Lewis light curtains, right? Right?
Yeah.
Well, they call them the Sherry Lewis nets? Is that
we weren't doing that. We were just yeah.
Oh,
Lewis.
sorry.
You're gonna stick with the Lewis, all right?
Lewis nets.
What were you saying, Manish?
No, I was just saying they changed it now, so it doesn't have an like an automatic dispatch anymore. They actually have to like push the button or pull the dispatch to actually send the cable cars out.
Yeah, there's no more auto trip.
That auto trip thing was
auto
always
trip doesn't
broken.
work
It's probably
Yeah.
just broken.
Yeah.
True.
So
Very true.
You know, the parts for that thing are probably pretty limited now.
What year was it at the World's Fair? Like
1936 or something.
Yeah. It is crazy, man. Like what for a lot of these podcasts, when we were talking about specific rides, like the carousel, I'd go back and look at how old the individual ride we have are, and I'm just like, how did it? No wonder we have such a large mechanics area because they have to build the fucking parts for these things. Like, there's no way there's anything available anymore. You know, like all of our rides are like 5,000 years old. You know, it's like fucking nuts, man. Oh boy. All right, well, fellas. I think that's it, man. Our time is about at an end. So thanks to everyone who joined us on Facebook Live. We could not see your chat, unfortunately, but we will check it afterwards and make comments back. We'll try that fix for the next time. We definitely appreciate the commentary in there, though. Keep the stories and feedback coming to us. We love hearing them in between the podcast. And signing off for now, I'm Steve Hicks, and my co-hosts are
Scott Loudon,
Andy Auletti.
And our no-show Peluso is actually absolutely fine, everybody. He didn't no-show. He's recovering we're all old men now. We have old men health things going on. So he's recovering from some old man health thing. That's all. He's fine. He's good. He'll be back in action for the next podcast. So don't worry about him. We're not going to fuck with his control card. He's fine. He has rehire status. Unlike somebody else who is our other co-host, who is Manish Patel. Hello, Manish. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Thanks for letting me join. It was a lot of fun. I actually had 2 control cards because I filled one up.
We believe
I'm not kidding. I
we
filled up.
That I believe. I
got written up by because the key for Elson Breyer broke, and I got written up for destruction of park property.
You know what that tells you, though? You know what that tells you? That tells you we actually fucking liked you because there were quite a few employees that had control cards that were like 2 and 3 in length, and they should have been.
Up? Did we? Did either of us write you up?
It wasn't either. You guys.
I don't remember writing Manish up.
I don't remember.
I know.
It was you know.
It was every Sean, covering soup on our 3rd shift ever.
No. Well, Sean Sneed wrote me up for the key, right? I remember that, and then yeah, that
sounds like
it was.
Yeah.
I got written up for so many stupid things. It was just funny.
Oh yeah, I believe it. And once again, thanks for joining us along with episode number 6, Tony. We appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
You got it, man. All right, folks. Until next time, as always, make it a great day. See ya, everybody.
See ya.
Okay, guys.